You've probably heard about the debate about student loan debt cancellation. We talk about it a lot here. Politicians have made promises saying that they would do that. Hey, Joe Biden's one of those. And there have been politicians like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's pictured beside me, who has made a big deal out of this issue over the past few years. Now, if you were to ask the Congresswoman, she would say that she's doing that because many people are burdened by student loan debt. It's horrible, it hurts the economy, it certainly hurts their life prospects. But is that actually why she and other members of the so-called squad are pushing for it? Well, the New York Times has a different theory, and it's not quite so philanthropic. So they have this is, by the way, this is not an op-ed. This is a news article on the New York Post. These woke Poles want student loans forgiven, including their own. Many of the woke politicians who have pushed for student loan cancellation are themselves hip deep in school debt. Federal records reviewed by the Post show. Most members of the squad, the coterie of socialist legislators. Again, this is not an op-ed. This is news. Socialist legislators led by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez fall into this category. Collectively, they owe between $180,000 and $400,000 in student loan debt, and it's not just her. They have this big picture of Ilhan Omar. Did you know Ilhan Omar has student loan debt? Ocasio-Cortez has between $15,000 and $50,000. Representative Jamal Bowman has a loan debt balance between $100,000 and $250,000. And critics say that student loans present a potential conflict for lawyers in the ongoing debate of whether they should be reduced or forgiven. So Dan, they make it seem as if they want to help out millions of people with student loan debt. But is it really just about clearing their $15,000 in debt?
A politician getting elected to help themselves. We never see this in the Republican Party. We never see this in the Democratic Party. We've never seen this with any kind of politician at all. We only see this with this. Again, I want to subvert this entire argument because the right argument to make is, of course, this isn't student debt relief for a small segment of Democratic House representatives. If so, it would have passed fairly quickly. It's student debt relief for a number of different Americans. Like it would help tons of people, even if it were up to $50,000, which, as I've argued on TikTok at Good Morning Bad News, there's no legal precedent that says Joe Biden can't just wipe out all of the student loan debt with a stroke of a pen. He has, Congress has given him the approval to do it, so those arguments make no sense. But no, John, I'm gonna take the argument that yes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and Jamal Bowman and whoever should be fighting for student loans selfishly. Not only because it will help other people, but because every single politician is elected in office to fight for themselves selfishly and to get themselves deals. That makes no difference, okay? Like Nancy Pelosi's doing insider trading. Joe Manchin is getting deals he can and blocking climate change proposals so that he can have people in West Virginia who are coal lobbyists, who he has like as part of his financial mix, benefit from that as well, okay? So why can't the New York Post get off of, stop writing the squad for fighting for student debt relief? Like
exactly,
like as every single politician does some form of self-dealing. This isn't self-dealing, but what if it is? It would be great for the rest of us.
Yeah, and let's be clear, I don't think that that's why they're pushing for it. Like, yeah, AOC has made a years-long thing about this because of the 15 to 50,000 that she could say. Okay, maybe. And by the way, you know who would be like the first that would be willing to carve a totally stupid and pointless carve out where they wouldn't be affected by it? Literally every member of the squad, I'm sure, would be happy to do it. It's the dumbest thing ever, and they shouldn't have to. But this ain't about that. This is about the New York Post trying desperately and comically to get you to think that some of the few politicians who literally ever try to do something to benefit other people who aren't already wealthy are actually secretly the most corrupt at all. Because then why is AOC pushing for the ban on individual stock trading? I mean, if you think she wants the $15,000, she could certainly use the position she has on all these committees to make a lot more money than that. And they actually draw a comparison to it. They quote this guy, Representative Scott Perry, to say, "I certainly do think it presents a conflict of interest, and I don't know how anybody can realistically tell me how this is essentially different from insider trading. The important thing is that number one, they made a commitment, and number two, debt cancellation would personally enrich them." Well, first of all, along The whole thing about the insider trading is that allowing them to do it allows them to be uniquely benefited. They're the only ones that have access to the information that's being presented to them. Whereas the student loan debt cancellation would be equal. It would be, yes, they might benefit, but millions of other people would too. It is such a stupid, stupid argument. And do you think that Scott Perry actually is willing to ban individual stock ownership? Maybe. I would love to see that. But this is just it is such an obvious, transparent, backhanded way to try to get the very people who would benefit from student loan debt cancellation to turn against the policy and turn against the politicians who are fighting for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna just graphic jump you, but like the outstanding federal loan portfolio is over $1.61 trillion. Like if you just made it so people don't have to spend $1.6 trillion on their debt, essentially. The average student loan balance is $34,000. Imagine if the average person had $37,000 less debt. That money could be spent in the economy. That money could be spent for people getting houses or getting places better to live. Just so much could be done by unlocking that economic potential. But no, that's the same as insider trading and trading off of backroom deals. It kind of shows you the disconnect from on a class level between a lot of these politicians and regular everyday people.
Yeah, 100%. It affects so many different people, so many. 43 million borrowers. No, but let's focus on those five. Okay, so you cited the 1.61 trillion. What percentage is the squad's debt of that 1.61 trillion? Could we even write it out? Would it even register as a number? Maybe, but no. Let's follow the post. Let's not do anything about this, and it'll probably be fine. It'll probably work itself out. I mean, if you look at historic total student loan debt. There's a lot of reason to believe that this is just gonna correct itself. If we want to take a look at that chart, it's just gonna get worse and worse. And this is not, and by the way, like the canceling thing, like you pointed out, there's no reason why it should be limited to 10,000 or 50,000. People act as if it's in the Constitution that they can cancel 10,000 or something. And this is federally backed student loan debt. There is still going to be some that is totally privately held that they're not gonna touch, but there is so much that is held by the US government. And the same people who are constantly thinking the US government should weigh in to benefit individual industries, whether it's pharma giving them protections from regulations, protection from negotiation, or huge amounts of money being pumped into the military industrial complex, or the bailing out of big banks and auto companies. Well, no, we can't touch the debt companies, clearly. That's the one thing that's still sacred and holy in the US government. Anyway, any other thoughts?
Only that the New York Post has no thoughts left at all.
Yeah. And by the way, as I've said many times on the show, because I lived effectively the life of a hermit for years and years and put every dollar I could in my student loan debt, thankfully, I was lucky enough to be able to clear it out. So New York Post, do I get to advocate for it? It wouldn't personally benefit me. Checkmate, Posty. I get to say it. Anyway, it's so stupid. If AOC were to pay off her debt tomorrow, will you suddenly change your mind about student loan debt cancellation? What a waste of paper. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.